to be honest, don't really know what I'm doing.
He was often a player that I would buy on Football Manager.
It's already a terrible reason.
From Jon Snow, Matt puts Dan's wardrobe to shame.
You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Look at him, the cat that got the cream.
Ian Taylor said it was the worst thing he'd ever seen in his life.
My theory on referees is you give them the nicest changing room in the stadium.
It's just the most bizarre thing I've ever
Hear me out.
I cannot believe Gabriel Bondahor's
That's crazy,
That's
isn't
terrible. Yeah, we may well have lost listeners early doors again with a long-winded intro. Go, shoot.
Hello, welcome to the Villa View. It's time for a weary-eyed podcast with Thomas Julian, or Tommy Julian as he's sometimes known, on my right, and me, Dan Bardell. I'm very tired, very grumpy, can't sleep very well. One of those nights where you just wake up every hour, not satisfied.
Do you need one of these?
I mean, I probably do, but I don't like it, so that would be a big
Don't like
problem.
coffee, do you?
No, how are you?
It's good. I am okay. I'm a bit tired as well, but not too bad.
Let's just moan throughout the whole podcast.
Well, we've had a weird morning, haven't we? You've been late.
Yeah.
Which is turn up for the books.
A big misjudgment of how long it takes to do things.
It was also quite funny. We came in and I was speaking with Dan's wife, who also works in the same building, and we have a nice chat. Dan bursts in after being late, and it's just like,
bursts.
I can't do my shoes.
That
was Birmingham.
Mixed between the two.
I can't do my shoes.
Couldn't do my new shoes.
And it's so embarrassing. I'll tweet a picture in a bit because it's quite funny. And then I also had a bit of a run-in. I came in to sign in without Dan, and the security guy, the reception guy, just kind of goes, "Sorry, mate. Just wait," and kind of just pushes me to the side, and in walks David Hay and Derek Chisora. And I kind of think, well, you know...
Well, are they walking in together?
I'm not sure. They seem to be pals now. A couple of heavyweights, but, you know, the real champ was walking in. Sam just didn't realise.
No, I mean, I like to think he would have treated me with more respect had I been coming through the door. Sam likes me, the security guard.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he's too fond of you.
I think he's very aware of the blue tick. And
Maybe.
he speaks to anybody with a blue tick.
Maybe. I don't think he follows me on Twitter, but you never know.
He also speaks to your wife, so...
That's true. He likes my wife. He'd be worrying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But... we've wasted 2.5 minutes talking about anecdotal
good skills.
chat. There's not a huge amount of football to talk about, but there is quite a lot to talk about with Aston Villa Football Club.
Plenty to look forward to, Thomas.
Very much so, yeah.
Really
You getting giddy?
I'm trying to play my expectations down, but I'm sure when I get there on Saturday that'll change. But I've been burnt before when I thought things were on the right track and I thought things were going well. So I'm trying not to get too giddy with excitement.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? And we'll come on to the questions, but we had a few about guys that were kind of tempering their expectations because they didn't want to get too excited, carried away, and all this kind of stuff.
I'm not very good at doing that.
I was going to say it's really hard. I watched, and I'm sure you did as well, Dean Smith and Christian Perslow's press conference earlier this week, and just the way he speaks.
Perslow or Smith?
Both, but particularly Smith. There was just so much respect there. There was honesty. It felt like there was just a kind of down to earth nature of his the way he's
being from the Midlands,
articulated himself.
Quite down to earth.
Do you reckon?
The Midlands character.
Yeah,
I think so.
You'd say that about Bruce, though, wouldn't you? About the northern guys. They're salt of the earth people, casting massive.
He kind of changed though, didn't he? He wasn't on his last day. He was very different to his first day. I remember seeing a picture of Paul Lambert when he joined Villa and Paul Lambert when he left Villa, and managers just go to pieces. So in however many years' time, you'll see a picture of Dean Smith, and he'll just look horrific compared to how he looked on that first day.
Going back to Paul Lambert, there was a point where 3 or 4 months later he was back on Sky Sports doing some punditry, and he looked a million times better.
He looked like an Armani model or something, didn't he, when he came back?
Literally 10 years younger.
He looked refreshed.
So that's, I guess, the exact reason why we should proceed with caution here, is that Dean Smith, fresh through the door, excited. It's obviously a great job for him personally, but also professionally, and so he's ready to go. But it's not an easy job. He's still got a lot of work to do.
I felt like my chair wasn't at the right height, but it is.
Not great preparation.
Let's do both. Can you do both? Let's be excited.
Yes.
Let's temper as well. Let's do both.
Yeah, I think that's right. So let's talk a little bit. What do you want to do first? Is press conference or is interview on AVTV?
I'll do it in the order I watched it. So I watched the AVTV interview first.
Me too.
Yeah, well, they came out first. So
that makes sense, doesn't it? So yeah, go on. First thoughts. What did you think?
I liked the way he kind of I can't remember whether he said this in the press conference or in the first interview. It's quite funny because they got the hashtag one of our own, but he played that down. Very much played that down.
It's like you've read my notes.
Yeah.
Because this was.
Now, Tom, there's a lot of notes on that phone.
Yeah, I know, right? So when I finished watching the press conference, I just felt like Dean Smith hadn't bought into saying any of the stereotypical cliches. So he didn't say one of our own. He didn't say boyhood club. He didn't say dream come true. He was very much about this. I've got 30 years experience in this business. I've worked for this. I've earned it. This isn't a emotional decision. All that kind of stuff, which it just sounded. It was, to use a cliche, music to my ears.
So I think he's correct in what he's saying, because I think he has earned a crack at a job like this. And I was thinking, obviously, being a Villa fan is quite a big thing. I always like it when people have got a connection to the club, whether they be making the tea or whether they be a manager or a player. I always prefer it. It sits better with me. If someone's got a connection, I'm not saying you have to have a connection with the club to be good at your job.
Yeah,
I'm just saying I think it helps. So he played that down, and I thought if he wasn't a Villa fan, and you looked at what he'd done at Walsall and Brentford, I'd have still wanted him. So I think that speaks volumes. It's not about him being a Villa fan, it's about what he's done and the fact that he's got a blueprint and a brand of football, and that he's done well where he's been and made progress.
Yeah,
he's been.
The brand of football is so important, isn't it? He likes to attack. He mentioned, obviously, the wealth of attacking talent that Villa have got at their disposal, but also the need to shut the doors and make us hard to beat again. And he referenced, obviously, only having 2 senior centre-backs at the club.
Not good.
Which is not ideal. I think he used the phrase unbalanced, which is totally true. But he's to be honest, I don't want to blow smoke, but it's not difficult to work out that this team is unbalanced.
I mean, no, you've worked it out, so anyone clearly can see.
Anyone looking at the team sheet, you don't even need to know about football. You just need to know, like, if they had defence, midfield, forward next to their name, you'd see that we've got so many forwards and only a few defenders.
I mean, Ange doesn't come to many Villa games. She's come to QPR away with us, but she's not a massive football lover. But say Bruce was still there and we still had those players playing in those positions and whatnot, she'd probably stood there and gone, what's wrong here? There's something wrong. It's obvious you can't go into a season with 2 centre-backs. You just can't, and one of them's on loan, a kid from Man U. You just cannot do that. It's never going to work. I also, while I was watching the stuff, I was a bit cross with myself, because I think really I should have been Bruce out earlier. I only, towards the end of his days, hit that threshold where I thought we need a change, he's got to go. I probably should have gone with it earlier, personally, because now I look at it, Dean Smith coming in, and how excited I am and how refreshing it is, and how much he has a plan and how much he fits what we're trying to do now, because I was very impressed by Purslow.
Yes.
Very, very impressed.
On to Purslow, yeah.
So I think really I should have gone earlier.
It's easy to say.
I was trying to give him a chance.
Well, that's it, isn't it?
That was stupid, looking back.
Do you think? But
I
think
it wasn't going to change.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure I agree with that.
You went earlier than me.
I did.
You were late.
But yeah, I think I was, and this is going to sound like a Bruce apologetic, and that's going to rile the YouTube watchers here, but I wanted the best for Aston Villa Football Club, and obviously that wasn't Bruce, but what I wanted was harmony, stability. I wanted an opportunity for Bruce to sort it out. In the end, he just didn't do that.
In the end, he created a mess himself,
and it got worse.
Yeah.
Like he created divisions and factions within the fans. He argued with fans via interviews, which is just appalling, essentially. And he created issues for himself, like I say. So yes, he had to go and all of that kind of stuff. But I just don't like to root for people to lose their jobs, I think.
No, I don't. I don't either.
One.
But it was the right when he went. It was 100% the right decision.
Yeah, and potentially should have gone at the international break before. I don't feel like he should have gone after he got us to the playoff final. I know what people are saying, and that we should have been competing for the automatics, but we were 90 minutes off, and all of the
only won 25 games or whatever it was that season.
Yeah,
which is a lot of games.
All of the problems that came out financially are not solely to do with Bruce, and
no,
I feel like Bruce deserved some opportunity to deal with that. And who knows where we'd be if we'd got rid of Bruce in the summer and got Henri in. Like, we might be top, we might be 18th.
No, so anyway, there's no point speculating about the past. I'm happy with where we are and what we've done now. I think I got carried away by the Henri stuff a little bit, even over the last few weeks when Bruce got the sack. I think I got carried away with it a bit, but originally when we first did the podcast, this was the appointment I wanted, and I've not seen social media so united with wanting the same thing. I mean, we lose on Saturday, it could go the other way, but he has to be given time, and I think whatever happens this season, maybe even next season, I think he'll be given time. And Purslow basically said there's no divine right to be in the Premier League. I think he appreciates he's come in and he's looked at the situation we're in and thought it might not be going up this season, next season, but if it's not, we've got the right manager to put the building blocks in place now. Yeah,
Jack Burns says, how careful do we have to be not to get too carried away and not to expect too much too soon? He followed that up with I'm not trying to be negative, but like kind of a cautious optimism, I would say.
I think instantly, even if we don't pick up wins, I think we'll be better.
Yeah.
Because he said himself yesterday, I think it was John Terry and Richard O'Kelly said yesterday that, like, Richard O'Kelly in particular thought, wow, we've got some players here, and Dean Smith must have thought the same. So the ability's there, especially going forward. The ability is really there. So although we might not pick up results instantly, I'd expect to see a change in style. I mean, we've been turgid. We've been so bad this season, 1 win in 11. I'd expect to see a change in style. It won't be exactly how Dean Smith wants it, but it'll be an improvement instantly. But it does take a while for players to kind of get out of the mode they've been in, if that makes sense. Or they've been told to play one way. It's then very difficult to try and hit the ground running playing another way.
Yeah,
straight away. But we do have the talent to get results straight away. It just might not happen like that.
Well, a couple of quotes from Dean Smith's first interview as Villa boss. Working hard is a given, and respect and honesty will be given in kind of both ways. That's not a verbatim quote. I want them to train at an intensity. What you do on the training pitch is what happens on match day. I want players that create and score goals. Makes for entertaining football, but we need to be tight at the back. I mean, that's music to our ears, isn't it? We have all the players, definitely in the attacking sense, to do all that. But like you just said there, I want to kind of touch on that, because Gavin Comtease, how long will it take to establish Smith's game plan and find his best 11? A few questions on transfers. We'll come on to those in a bit.
We've all been getting annoyed with seeing people playing out of position. I think that'll stop. I don't think he's that kind of manager. I think he'll pick a system. It might not be the same system he played at Brentford, but I'd imagine it will be somewhere along those lines. I've been speaking to Stu from Soccer AM last week when he came on and did the podcast. It sounds like a bit of a 4-3-3, but the wingers are more tucked in, playing as attacking midfielders. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Jack playing in one of those positions. I don't usually like Jack out wide because it takes him out of the game, but I think under Smith's tactics and formation it might work, because you're kind of playing as a wide player, but you're actually playing as a number 10.
Right.
So 2 number 10s, if that makes sense. So I think gone are the days where we'll see people playing out of position. I don't think you'll see Hutton at left back again, unless it's an absolute emergency. I don't think you'll see Jedinak at centre back again, although I'm saying that if Neil Taylor doesn't play left back, there's no one else, because there isn't another proper left back, so maybe you will see Hutton. So I contradicted myself again.
Steve says, is it the end of the road for Jedinak and Whelan? And that, I guess, to an extent goes to Hutton as well. We hope that Bree might come in and make right back his own. Like you say, Neil Taylor at left back, we may see less and less of Hutton.
I'd expect Bree and Taylor to be the full-backs on Saturday. I mean, Bree, they were probably the 2 better players against Millwall in the last game I've tried to erase from my memory because it was just so bad.
Yeah.
But they were the 2 best players, I'd say, on the day. So I'd expect them to be the fullbacks now, and then Elmo's back up right back, and I guess Hutton has to be back up left back
and centre back,
unless we're pulling someone from the 23s, which he might do, because suddenly you might say, I wouldn't surprise me to see Callum O'Hare and Jake Doyle-Hayes suddenly in the 18, especially Jake Doyle-Hayes, because he's a bit Ryan Woods-like.
Yeah. Well, Callum O'Hare was training with the first team.
Yeah, lower numbers, aren't we, because of international break.
But that's a good sign, isn't it?
No, I'd definitely be surprised if we didn't see one of them in the 18 on Saturday. Plus, he's not going to see much of everyone, with people coming back from international duty. But it's not. I'd say it's the end of Jedinak more so than Whelan, because I think Whelan's passing is good, and the game. Although he's not the quickest and most mobile player, he'll be able to do the passing stuff that Smith likes, whereas I think Jedinak might struggle with it, but you just don't know. Smith might come in and not be able to do what he wants to do straight away, so he may have to keep it a bit more basic. We'll know more on Saturday after the game.
Smith has said himself it's a bit of a baptism of fire. They've got 3 games in 6 days, I think it is, and Swansea's a toughish start, but at home, like you say, the crowd will be behind him. I think
Sell out pretty much.
Jatinder said that he hoped that it will be one of the best atmospheres he's seen in a long time. So knowing that the whole of the fan base is behind you, having your friends and family there, obviously a change in lifestyle as well for Smith. That's got to be.
A lion must be welcome.
Yeah, he said that.
After this morning, I can relate to that.
Yeah, very much. But he said that he can. Well, I think that he can be buoyed from that, and he's going to get. He must know that he's going to get such a huge ovation. It's going to be an interesting one though, with the. We'll come on to it. The death of Doug Ellis as well.
Yeah.
It's going to make for quite maybe a bit of a weird atmosphere.
I think
one celebration, one kind of mourning.
It was quite ironic, really, wasn't it? Because Doug passed when you finally felt that we might be in the right hands all round. It was a bit weird, wasn't it? The way that happened, almost like he'd waited for Villa to hire the next manager before he went. I saw him. I can't remember if it was this season or last season when I was going into the corner flag to see Mick, and he looked so frail and old, but he was still. You could see the smile on his face, like he was so happy to just still be coming to Villa Park. So credit to him, because he even was going to away games up until not that long ago. So he was still dedicating every weekend to Aston Villa Football Club. And whether you liked what he did when he was the owner or not, I think you look back now and you think we were in the Premier League consistently. He didn't try and stretch us in a way that would put us in financial trouble. So I think you have to give him an immense amount of credit. I mean, I don't know. A lot of people don't like him from stuff before I was born. I don't know what happened fully in that time. I know he did, at times he maybe treated the European Cup winners the best, but I think you look back and you think, whatever you think of him, he loved Aston Villa Football Club, and you can't take that away from him.
Some of the younger viewers, I guess, won't know much about Doug Ellis, sort of Deadly Doug, as he was nicknamed, at all. But a huge affinity with the club, and obviously we've got the Doug Ellis stand now, and he's been around for so long, and like you say, still going to games at 94. There was obviously a huge love for the club. I was kind of reading up a little bit about him. I didn't realise he was a director at Birmingham before he was at Villa, and then a 10-day spell as chairman of Wolves as well before they went bankrupt.
I didn't know that.
So a very interesting career, and like you say, ups and downs. And I'm not a historian, and a lot of it was, like you say, before I was a Villa fan. But an interesting character and well worth reading more about.
I might get his book, actually.
Yeah,
his book's
Deadly.
available. I might get it. I met him once when I was a kid. I can't remember how old I was. So it was 96. So I'd have been 10, nearly 11. Possibly it was right at the start of the season. Me and my dad were in a box for some reason to do my dad's work.
Because you worked there probably at that time.
Yeah. I was a real trailblazer. 11, still working there now, obviously. Yeah, as you can tell. And I met him, and he used to come round to every box before the game and just say hello. He's a very friendly man. And he came in and he was asking me, he was like, do you like football? Do you play football? Are you any good? And I probably said yes, even though I'm not. And then he was like, are you right-footed or left-footed? I was like, I'm right-footed. He was like, what's your left foot like? I was like, not very good. And he said, if you want to make it, you have to be both-footed. You have to practice on that left foot and get better.
And did you?
No. Left foot is useless. Apart from volleying, I can hit a decent volley on the left foot, but anything else on it is useless. I don't know why that is. I can hit a good volley on the left foot, but that is it.
Must be your eye-foot coordination.
I mean, that's not the best.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, there you go.
It's a little story. I felt like there's some kind of message behind that story, that he was always striving for more. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
inspiring. Not even youngsters.
Inspiring, but just that's quite a not like a it's quite a stern thing to say to a 10,
Right.
11-year-old. It's like saying you need to do. He was adamant about it. You've got to practice on that left foot.
I think that's a generational thing as well,
Yeah.
though, isn't it? Like you get grandparents that are quite like that
Yeah.
like, love you, but are still quite.
I mean, I don't
firm.
think he loved me.
No, that's true.
But yeah.
Infamous run-ins over the years with managers. Sacked 7 of his 14. I read. Just a very interesting character. Even his business, like the package holiday stuff that he set up, is interesting to read. So if you are a football historian, it's worth looking at Doug Ellis and just reading a little bit about him. Players are going to wear black armbands, and there'll be a minute's silence on Saturday. So please observe that. Whatever you think
sure
of Doug
everyone
Ellis.
will.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone will.
So we kind of got waylaid a little bit there. Anything else?
The notes, mate, they're all over the place.
Well,
Stuff just pops in and out, doesn't it?
I think you jumped. Did I jump in or did
I
you
can't
jump
remember.
in?
But it could be either of us this morning, to be honest.
To get back to it, Dean Smith's parents used to direct Doug Ellis to his seat. His dad, yeah.
It'd be a bit weird if both his parents would.
Took him arm in arm.
Yeah.
Yes, his dad. Yeah. So yeah, that kind of
Nice
ties it back in.
tie-in.
So is there anything else you want to say about the interview per se, other than?
I mean, we've kind of gone into the press conference as well
Yeah,
here
it's true.
because there were a lot of similar things
They
said.
are.
To be
Yeah.
fair, but I just thought he was. I thought he was good. I thought he came across very well. Came across very, very likeable.
I thought what Purslow said of Dean Smith and why they appointed him, this is in the press conference, was excellent. I just wanted to read that to you. Hugely experienced. Oh no.
You had a nightmare there.
Hugely experienced, dedicated. A dedicated career to recognisable and an attractive playing style. It's very hard to speak at this stage, as you can tell. Done this under an extreme budgetary constraints, and his motivation, energy, and hunger to manage at the highest level. And he really understands what Aston Villa football club is all about. Now, I absolutely.
If anyone understood that,
fell apart
Well
there.
done. Basically, he thinks it's a good appointment.
He thinks it's a brilliant
Is
appointment.
the translation from Tom's gibberish.
Which is good because he made the appointment, so you hope he would. But everything he said there I related to, even though I couldn't say it. Like the experience, dedication to a good footballing philosophy, that's so important. That's what we've been lacking. You know, with Bruce, we got waylaid. Bruce brought in good players but didn't know how to use them. Smith seems like the opposite almost. It doesn't matter what players he's going to have from the start, he's going to mould them to his way of playing.
Yeah, he said he was happy with what he'd got.
Well, he should be.
Basically, obviously, the defence is a concern.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what he'll do with goalkeeper as well, because I think that's he could walk in and we could see any 4 of them in goal on Saturday. To be honest, I'm including Sarkic in that. I think it could be any of them in goal on Saturday.
Pitach, as Perzo said it a lot better than me. I noticed that was disappointing. Although they called him Suso, so I'm just going to call him
Suso?
Yeah, because Jesus Suso.
Let's call him Sousa.
Yeah, it's easier. It's a lot easier. But he came from Valencia, but Atletico Madrid as well. So obviously has links with Moreira. I don't know how much Suso will already know about Moreira. If he was sporting director, then presumably he had some sort of hand in his development.
Who knows?
So that might be a factor as well. But you're right. We could see. Who knows who we're going to see in goal?
I couldn't separate them. If you asked me to pick who was going to be in goal on Saturday, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure who he'll pick.
Bunn presumably was training. Was
Yeah.
Neeland away?
Neelan was away. Moreira would have been training as well, and probably unless Sarkic was away
With
as
the
well
youth.
with the youth.
Yeah.
I can't remember what nationality he is, but yeah.
You kind of feel like Neelan would make sense.
He's the number 1.
But yeah, I mean that
It's
was
the goalkeeper, and what Smith tries to do at
interesting.
Brentford needs to be good with his feet. Like he needs to be, and Neelan was taught up as if he was very, very good with his feet. I mean, I don't think we've seen that yet for whatever reason, but he was taught up as if his distribution was
Right.
one of the main reasons that we got him by Bruce. So
I mean, we've seen
see.
some horrendous distributions.
We'll
so
see.
far.
He's not. Yeah, but we've seen a lot of horrendous things from a lot of people. To be honest,
You're right.
I don't like to hammer the goalkeeper because I think it's very hard to come in to a new team like that, and I've learnt my lesson with the Sam Johnston stuff as well. I think we've been a disaster. I think you can't blame that on the goalkeeper. I think he's had a real baptism of fire, and it's not been easy for him. But I'd expect to see an improvement now if he wants to be the long-term Villa number 1.
Yeah, it's true. It's good to have competition for sure. Just going back to Suso for a second, Purslow said that the change in structure at Villa was so that Dean Smith could just concentrate on the football with his team, John Terry and Richard O'Kelly as well. But having Suso in there maximises the coach's concentration, takes away all the factors that dilute from that. So Suso's literally going to be in charge of everything from transport.
You're really taking on this Suso name, aren't you?
I love it.
You're
yeah.
really taking
love
it
it. Love it. It's
You've
very,
run away.
very me. Isn't
You've
it?
run away. Was it very you? Why is it very you?
Very continental.
You're
you know.
not a continental.
For transport.
What's continental about you? Out of interest.
All
Apart
football.
from you, Mrs. has got German heritage.
Yes, she does.
And that's not even you. That's her.
I don't know. I'm a bit flair. I like a bit of. I mean, I'm not flair.
No.
I do like tapas though.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think that classes you as continental.
Anyway, you get off the point. Suso. That would be more flair if I started saying Suso.
It's getting worse.
In charge of all football operations, so nutrition, transport, just kind of taking away all of the extra factors.
Bruce did the transport before. I was thinking about this. Like,
That's true.
Surely Bruce wasn't doing the
I
transport.
presume that somebody else would have been taking care of that kind of stuff, but maybe Bruce had... Again, Bruce having a hand in nutrition also is a
definitely didn't have a hand in
deeply
that.
concerning prospect. No, you're right. I'd be interested... I mean, I would love to speak with Purslow in particular. Again, the way he spoke...
He impressed me.
Yeah. So...
I liked everything he said.
He spoke really well, and obviously coming against what we'd had before.
And it's the first
with
time we've
Winers.
heard of him. He'd obviously been waiting. He didn't want to do it while Bruce was still there because it's kind of like that was kind of like all that stuff was nothing to do with him because he wasn't there. So now this is Dean Smith's his appointment. He's kind of saying this is me now.
That's a very good point.
You think?
Yeah, he talked about the new direction of Aston Villa, and he obviously wanted to be at the forefront of that alongside Smith, Terry, O'Kelly.
I mean, I'm hoping you've got some
Also-
notes about what he said because there was one thing he said that I really liked, and at this time of the morning I can't think of it.
Well, you're gonna have to give me. You're gonna have to narrow it down slightly.
I liked the stuff about the no divine right to be in the Premier League because I think some of our fans kind of behave in that. Not all. I think some of our fans, a small minority, behave in the manner that we've got a divine right to be this top 6 Premier League side, and anything else isn't good enough. But we are where we are, and that's the reality.
Yeah. So he said we're going in a new direction in the way we manage our club from top to bottom. We have a setup that can build from the top down. Excellence doesn't equate to being in the Premier League. We have to earn that right, and the only way we do that is through thoughtful planning and excellent appointments, and that's what we've done today by bringing in Dean Smith. He's the most important person in this football club.
Nice.
Which, like you say, everything he said made sense, and I thought that was great. I wanted to talk about financial fair play
I'm hoping you can
a little bit.
I mean, it must be true. What he said must be true.
You say that.
He's not going to go to a worldwide press conference and say financial fair play is not a problem if it isn't.
Well, we've heard that before, though.
I know, but I don't know.
That's the concern, isn't it? Because I don't know at this point. Like, and we've had a lot of questions.
He's involved in it as well, so we would know.
D.A. McGuffey, Keith Murch, Ricky B, all of these guys asking about financial fair play. Honestly, I thought we were in a lot of trouble, even though we got new owners. So the fact that we didn't sell Grealish, didn't sell Chester, really confused me because I don't think we're balancing the books. However,
But then we did spend money on players in the summer. So McGinn, not loads, but McGinn and Neyland cost money.
and Bolassi's wages,
Yeah,
like
full.
our expenditure has gone up. Then Purslow, like you rightly say, he sat on the working group that created financial fair play. He said he was highly respectful of the rules, but Villa were easily capable of navigating them in our current position, which... Like a couple of people have said, like, can you confirm that we are no longer under financial fair play issues? I can't confirm. I don't know how. That's why I'd love to speak to Purslow, because I'd love to. I'm not an economist. I don't.
You're just a continental.
I'm just
You're
a flair
continental-
player.
You're just a continental guy.
I'm just a flair, right?
Money
there.
man, he's a continental man.
But Purslow spoke so confidently about it, and that's great, and that's reassuring in a bit. But then, at the same time, Brett Leader quite rightly said that anything that emanates from Aston Villa Football Club regarding finances beforehand could be struck off as a joke, because we were told before that we were fine. We were told before that we had a plan B, and they said that confidently, and we took that as fans because we wanted to believe that and went, yes, okay, good. This time I'd love to know how? I'd love an idiot's breakdown to how we're okay with financial
I don't
fair
think
play.
we're going to get that.
But this is kind of, I mean,
there must be an FCG coming up soon, so I'd imagine it's a question we can ask.
I hope there is going to be one, because, like you say, we've got quite far into the season, we haven't had one. But this is what I said before. I would love to sit down with Purslow and ask him these questions. But he's a very smart man, Cambridge, Harvard graduate, and I would love to sit down with him and just go, please, just explain, draw it out for me how this works, because I'm sure it's very complicated, and I'm sure there is a lot of work that goes into it, but there must be an easy way to break it down.
My understanding before this press conference, my understanding during the summer, was that the new owners had submitted a business plan to the EFL.
Yeah.
And they were satisfied with it.
Yeah.
The EFL were happy with what we'd submitted. So at that point, when we're spending money on players, you presume that we're okay.
Yes, but Leeds have done that before. Villa have done that before. Birmingham also done that before. Submitted their plans because they've been under soft embargo or whatever.
But then they haven't got. We've got new owners coming in with some money. They haven't had that. They've got the same owners that have put them in the mess in the first place.
But we've also had EFL issues where, for example, Leeds or Leicester or these new owners come in and actually they're frauds themselves. They don't have the money to back them up, or there's not been the strict regulations and the owners have just pulled out and leaving these clubs in a hole. We've seen massive issues before. Now, I'm not saying that's the same with Suarez or Eden's group, but I don't fully trust in the EFL's stringent guides.
Trust no one. That's your motto. Trust no one.
Until I understand it, and at the moment I don't understand it. It's still confusing me. So I'm reassured by the way Purslow speaks, and I'll tell you what I was really reassured by is the fact that Smith said, he talked about how it wasn't an emotional decision coming to Villa. I'm sure there was a little bit of emotion in there, and
We're
the
back
family
onto Smith now.
Yeah, just it ties into financial fair play. But he said he did his due diligence, and he wanted to come, and he was kind of sold by Purslow and by the owners and their plans. He, to me, so far strikes me as a guy that would research. He wouldn't have just gone because it was Villa. He was in a good position. I think Brentford are 5th, and he was in a good position to kick them on and maybe get into the playoffs or automatics this year. He's decided to come to Villa, who are 15th, not that far in points, but he's made that rational decision because of the players, but also because of the long-term strategy. They've brought in a sporting director. The whole direction, as Purslow said, of the club is changing. So that's what reassures me. I just don't want to go... It's that cautious optimism again of going all in. On the other side of that, there's nothing I can do. No. So if Purslow doesn't have a backup plan and we bottom out and we've got no money, there's nothing I could have done about that anyway. So no. I'm still going to be hurt come the end of the day if that happens.
But what I will say is that if we do have to sell people and rebuild, start again, using a lot of the youth and stuff, we've got the right manager to do that now. Mm-hmm. He's a coach, isn't he? He'll develop players and get players playing a certain way. Look at some of the players he's brought through at Brentford and what he's done at Brentford. Whatever situation we're in, I think he's the right man. Whether we've got no money problems, whether we did then encounter money problems if we didn't go up in a few years or whatever, I think he's the right man at the helm. And I think it's very, very important now that this is minimum. You give him 2-3 seasons to get this right now. We can't be calling for the manager's head if we're nowhere near playoffs this year. It just cannot happen now because you've got a manager with a long-term plan. I remember when Brian Little came in and we were struggling, and then he came in, and to be honest, we just continued to struggle, but he got a bit of leeway because he was Brian Little.
Yeah.
And then the next season we finished 4th.
Yeah.
It's a bit like that. I expect Dean Smith will get more leeway than someone who has got no affinity to the club whatsoever.
While I agree with all of that, the problem would be, yesterday Purslow said unequivocally, if we need to bring in players in January, we are capable of doing that.
We do need to.
But say, for example, we had great youth and they came through and we didn't need to. That's good. If the squad's good, that's fine. If we needed to, he said unequivocally we could do that. Now, if it comes to January and Purslow then goes, actually, we don't have any money for that, then what he said yesterday, which would be 3 months down the line at this point, would have been a lie in his first conference.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, yeah, but you don't know. This is what I'm saying.
We'll know in January.
Exactly. So January is a major defining point of this new regime, whether it's lied to the fans straight away, which I really hope it hasn't, or if we are comfortable and confident and spending the right way, and maybe letting some players go as well, then that will show a sign that Villa has turned a corner. So my answer, that was kind of an answer to the question, like, have we solved financial fair play issues? We'll probably know more in January when we see our transfer spend.
But surely we know more in August by the fact that we were buying people for money then. We didn't bring any money in.
But Perslow still wasn't in at that point, was he? So
no, but someone was making that decision.
But we've seen so many terrible decisions in the past. I'm worried about the blind loyalty of just going, well, yeah, that must be fine, because we did that last season.
It's very me.
But we were
very me thing to do.
We were so close to being in serious stuck, and. So I think in January we'll know. Then in March, obviously the financial fair play figures have to be submitted, so we know more again. So it takes a bit of time in my novice understanding of it.
Your continental opinion.
In my continental opinion, maybe we'll find out more at the fans consultation group.
Yeah, I'm going to try and find out if there's one coming
as well. I think that's important. Yeah. I think that was the main takeaways I had from the press conference, which again I really enjoyed and I thought was good. And I've got that optimism here. As much as I've just said all that about the finances, I think it comes from a lack of knowledge again, which is what we were talking about a few months ago. So.
Yeah. What about JT and Richard O'Kelly? They made the notes.
They have made the notes. Yeah. So
if you're not on the notes, you don't get in.
Yeah. They've got their own points here. So. I originally titled this before the press conference, John Terry controversy. Whose man is he? Because there was a lot of stuff at the start of Smith's regime, if you like, about whether John Terry was his hand was forced. Dean Smith's hand was forced to bring in Terry or not. And I thought Dean Smith handled that really well over the last couple of interviews.
He's passed the press conference blurb with flying colours.
Really has. I don't think he put a foot wrong.
No, he didn't. Bodes well.
Yeah, sits well with me.
Sits well with Tom.
I thought so. If you haven't seen it, Smith said that the club did want John Terry in, and John Terry wanted to be part of the staff. So it wasn't like a Dean Smith kind of, yes, I definitely want to get you. But they had a long conversation, Smith and Terry, about John Terry's role, and they decided that for the best interest of the club, he's good for us. Smith, as a head coach, likes to have two assistants. He had it at Brentford as well. And he obviously has the experience working with O'Kelly. And John Terry knows the club inside out from his time last year. And
he's got the respect of the players.
He's got the respect of the players.
And it looks like it fell apart without him.
And he's an incredible player.
She was still playing.
Where we're short is centre-back. So not even for him to come in and play, but even to just coach our defence a little bit and shore us up in that sense.
Chester will be buoyed because Chester's had not a ropey start. I think, again, I can't blame him for us being all over the place, because you look at it and think, well, that defensive setup is all over the place, so I don't put any pointy finger of blame him, but he's not been the Chester of the last few seasons.
Yeah.
That's for certain, but he'll be buoyed by John Terry's return because they had a good relationship and a good understanding. If John Terry had come in at the expense of Richard O'Kelly, I think that's a problem. But obviously, they're together in tandem with Dean Smith, so yeah, there is no issue in that at all. I think it's a very, very good appointment.
What Smith said about Terry, what he's done in the game and the coaches he's worked under, for him to want to work under me is really good for me. And he'll be involved in everything I do. That's how he'll learn. So Smith said that Terry was kind of like a little bit nervous about that.
I bet he was.
And it's a huge responsibility. But I really like the way that Smith said, everything that I do is a kind of a group decision. So they'll discuss all of the tactics, all of the preparations, the game plan together. He'll make the decision, but it'll be a team decision. And I think that's great. And John Terry stands to learn so much from him. And like you say, Richard O'Kelly coming in, very experienced, challenges
Great
Smith.
Midlands accent.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable accent. Just what we've been missing.
Right.
Proper accents.
Is that what it is?
I mean, Jack's got a very Brummy accent.
Yeah, he has.
To be fair, probably Brummier than me. And mine is...
And just Brummier than me as well.
Mine's getting worse. Your accent's boring.
Non-regional, isn't it?
Yeah.
So disappointing.
No good.
Do you know what?
Parents have failed you.
My parents did a wonderful job. But my accent, I've always kind of like wanted to have some sort of accent, because Cambridge,
you haven't got it.
I haven't got anything, people hate the southern accent as well. You go anywhere in the world, and people generally dislike the southern accent, whereas you go anywhere with a northern accent, a Brummie accent, Welsh, Scottish, whatever, the whole world loves you so much more. It's like, oh, you're Scottish, that's so good. And that was American. But like it's more accepted to have a regional accent. I wish I had one.
Yeah, my accent's never done me any harm.
No.
That I know of.
Yeah.
But like I've got an accent and I've never thought, I wish I didn't have this accent.
No.
I've never thought that. Whereas you haven't got one and you're thinking, I wish I had one.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think about it every day. But
Don't beat yourself up over it. There's nothing you can do.
Sometimes I wish I did.
We made friends with some Americans on holiday. We always make friends on holiday in Barbados.
I disagree with this.
And she was, the girl said something about, I can't remember exactly what she said, but she said she loved my accent.
She loved it.
Loved my accent.
Okay, good.
It's a good accent.
Yeah, it's a nice
And
accent.
Richard O'Kelly had a strong Midlands twang.
Yeah, so
I liked.
They'll obviously have worked with the players now a little bit and started to make their assessment on. It's quite a new squad for John Terry as well, isn't it? Like
There's a few new faces: McGinn, Neeland. Can't think of anyone else.
there'll be a El Ghazi.
Yeah.
There'll be a different
He'll come
Tammy
back.
Abraham.
Well, he knows Tammy. Did
well-
you see the interview with Tammy Abraham?
No, I
About
haven't seen
working
it.
with John Terry, he was pleased. So
Right.
John's always been there for him throughout his career. So
Right.
it's exciting times.
Yeah.
Hogan's the one. And someone like El Ghazi as well. Like clearly he was a Mendes purchase, and Bruce had decided if I don't have to use him, I'm not going to.
Yeah.
It felt because he got goal and assist in his first 2 games, and then we didn't see him again. So someone like that, people will just be coming in and thinking, I got a fresh chance here. I watched Hogan play. This came on for Ireland last night. I watched the second half of the Ireland game, and again it was just archaic tactics from Martin O'Neill. Just no thought into what was going on and how to play to a striker's strengths. Finally, now Hogan will have a manager that's gonna play to his strengths. I can't wait because I've always backed Hogan. I've always said he's not the problem. Villa's the problem.
Yeah, a few people have asked questions about not only Hogan, but these players that will have an opportunity. I feel like the whole squad will have an opportunity. Smith talked a lot about taking onto the pitch what you've done in the training ground, a high intensity work rate. So every player will hopefully have a chance to prove themselves on the training pitch and then get that chance on the actual pitch. But Hogan is one that stands to gain a huge amount from that.
He's the big winner of this appointment, I would say. I think there's a few that will come back into the fray now, but he really is going to get huge benefits from Dean Smith. What did he score? 21 in 27 or something?
21, 26, I think.
Was it something like
Something
that?
like that,
That's an incredible record if we can get him doing that. I mean, we could quite easily line it with 2 strikers, couldn't we? Because I can't see how you can particularly drop Abraham, but I think he's going to want to play Hogan.
Yeah.
As well, so it's going to be interesting to see how someone like Hepburn Murphy might suddenly come into the thinking.
Yeah.
As well, he feels to me like a very Smith player. Hepburn Murphy.
J Long 18 asked about Jacob Bordeaux coming back in centre back for the youth. We bought him. I did some research because I don't know a huge amount
Left-footed.
about this guy, but bought him from Bury for a reported 900 grand when he was 17, and has apparently been impressing in the younger setup. So he's still a very young player, only 18 at this point, but. We talked a little bit about it earlier. Doyle Hayes, O'Hare, Bordeaux. These players will feel like they have a chance to make the grade now.
Yeah, I mean, Twanzebe and Chester will be the first 2 centre-backs because they are
Yeah.
the first 2 centre-backs and only 2 centre-backs
But we need cover.
in the squad. But yeah, again, it wouldn't surprise me to see a young centre-back because you may as well have him on the bench and develop him and him learn from being in the 18 than just play Yedden out there, in my opinion.
Well, plus Twanzebe has had injury problems in the past, so we need cover there.
We need a dominant centre half, don't we? Someone who's going to come and head everything like John Terry did, because Chester and Twanzebe aren't really both aerially dominant. I wouldn't say. We need someone that complements
Definitely.
them.
Just Villa asked about getting the best out of Jack Grealish as well. That's another one that Jack, we haven't seen the best of him this year, and he's admitted that himself. It's another. I feel like I'm repeating myself at this point. It's just another opportunity, a fresh wave of optimism for all of these players. Jack will be excited to have John Terry back because he had a great relationship with him, but also Dean Smith plays this total football. That's what Grealish is all about, and that's exciting for him.
He'll be absolutely buzzing to play in an attacking system. We hope. It's an attacking system. He'll be looking forward to that, and he will again go on another level playing under Dean Smith.
Yeah.
In my opinion, he was very, very, very good when he came back last season.
Yeah.
Even though really we weren't playing the free-flowing football. I mean, we did at times, like Wolves, Bristol City, we had games where we played very well, but it wasn't consistent. But under Dean Smith, you're going to get that consistency, and you're going to have that whatever way of playing that he wants, and we'll play that way. And I think Grealish will go on another level again now.
Jimmy Farry and Luke Bartlett asked about the press conference. Jimmy Farry said most refreshing presser I've seen in a while. I think we'd agree with that, wouldn't we?
Because he didn't try and be fancy and say anything silly. It was all measured was the word I came away with. I felt like the whole thing was very, very measured.
Yeah, on promotion, he kind of said both sides of it, really. Again, not using cliches was so important, but he said the statistics aren't good. That's why I'm sat here. But he still believes that promotion was a real possibility, which it is. We're only 4 points off the playoffs, but he said the automatics wasn't insurmountable. I thought he said what we've been saying for a little while is that the championship is as open as it ever has been, and nobody has run away with it yet. We're 10 points off the top, I think, but that's not a huge gap with 3/4 of the season still to go. This is where the optimism kind of needs to be tempered a little bit, because we don't want to go, well, we're definitely going to get promotion now, or we're definitely going to get that. But we have a good rest of October, and we could well be in the playoff hunt again.
Yeah.
And we've still got such a long way to go. Like we talked about last week, December is so important.
It's a rough month.
It's a rough month, but if we can set ourselves up with the Birmingham Derby, with the October we've got, and just get ourselves into a good run of form, keep fit, then we should go into December full of confidence.
I mean, in my opinion, this season we've hamstrung ourselves. Like, we've made life difficult. It's not that teams are coming. Sheffield United were very good. It's not like teams are coming though and like they're much better than us. We're just completely hamstrung. We won't be that anymore. The shackles will be off. There'll be a bit of freedom there, so we should be able to go out there with the players we've got attacking wise. And if John Terry can get into the defence, and because the impression I got was that O'Kelly was the attacking coach, John Terry was the defensive coach. So if we can get into the defence and get the defence organised, or some semblance of organisation in there, we'll do damage, and we've got the players to go and beat teams. And that's the thing now, we'll go and try and beat teams. We won't be sitting back and trying to nick a game 1-0. We'll go there, we'll go and try and play and try and win, and that it'd be unusual to see, because we have not had much of that.
It's kind of like an NFL concept, isn't it? You've got Richard O'Kelly, who's the offensive...
You'd have to tell me, because I don't know.
You get an offensive coordinator, Richard O'Kelly, who works with the attacking players. John Terry, defensive coordinator, works with the defensive guys. And then a head coach who pulls it all together, does the play calling essentially, and then you've got your sporting director who's like your general manager. It's quite an interesting.
It's very you.
It's very me. It's a modern day setup, and it'd be interesting to see how it works.
Don't cut the NFL talk. So higher ups don't like it.
No, do they not?
No, higher ups don't like it.
Dear me, Raj Rather, Villa 25-1 to win the league, worth a tenner. I mean, you're flush at the moment, aren't you? After Dean Smith's appointment.
I just thought that was a sensible bet at the time when Henry was out there running 18-1. I thought that's madness, because he's surely one of the favourites.
25-1 seems
to win the league.
I mean, we're not. This is. I mean, if you've got a 10, if you've got a small amount of money to spare, then go for it. Don't put your kids' food at risk or anything like that.
Win the league, phenomenal, but I don't see that personally.
No, it would. I mean, we might get excited come December if it's going well, and we.
Dolan will be excited right now.
Do you know what I was thinking that on the way in?
He's the one's having it now.
He didn't predict us to win at all in October, did he? But he's going to want to change that now.
Did he not win?
I think so.
Oh, Dolan.
Do you remember? Like, I think you called him out on WhatsApp.
Did I?
Yeah, he was obviously.
He's been in a bit of a bad mood recently, Dolan. The shoes, the wet shoes.
Yeah, that kind of was
cancelled on me. Did I was supposed to see him last weekend, and he cancelled.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
It was his birthday.
Yeah, I was supposed to see him for his birthday.
Oh, right.
He said, let's go out.
Wasn't invited.
He said, let's go out. I said, okay. And then he cancelled on and if I hadn't asked him about it, I wouldn't have known about the cancellation.
All right.
On a Wednesday, I said, are we still going out Saturday? Oh, no, I can't. I've messed up.
Oh, wow.
Oh, thanks for telling me, pal.
So you'd have just turned up at the Dog and Bone or whatever?
I don't know where we would have been going.
All right.
But yeah, I'd have just turned up at Paul Smith.
Yeah.
On Saturday.
Any Paul Smith, and he's there.
Yeah, so he's not being very chatty, is he?
No.
On the old WhatsApp recently, Dolan.
No.
He's getting old. He's a bit old before his time as well. in my opinion.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's it.
Finish the slagging off Rolinson.
Yes, actually, just to touch on it, I feel
Should say
like.
happy birthday. Happy birthday,
Oh,
Dolan.
yeah, happy birthday! He won't watch. He doesn't watch if he's not in.
That's true, he doesn't.
The Daily Mail seems to be doing a round of the disgruntled Villa players. Obviously, you had Scott Hogan, who was fairly
Good interview, that was.
Yeah, disgruntled last week. They also did one with Ross McCormack. Did you see this?
Yes.
This was in the Daily Mail late last week, early this week. Who is now at Central Coast Mariners? We found out last week.
Oh no, we already knew. You just got stuck in a time machine.
He scored a goal last week in a friendly, and also set up Usain Bolt.
I saw
Did you see that?
Usain's finish.
He scored two.
I saw one of the goals.
One was really tidy, and the other one was like a mix-up with the defence, but he just had to tap it in. But interesting that Usain Bolt is playing. Ross McCormack, very complimentary of Usain Bolt. Also said that Bruce termed him a mercenary, which I think we have also done on this podcast. He was quite honest, I think, that he doesn't think that there'll be another chance at Villa.
I think.
But just interesting to read. Opportunities at Villa may have sailed now, although I haven't spoken to the new manager. My target is to get as sharp as I can, and hopefully the goals will come.
The last line's the best.
Yeah, so this is about Usain Bolt. He doesn't need the money. He could have retired on a yacht somewhere, but instead he's putting his reputation on the line to try something different. I'd love to become a professional snooker player at 35, but it's not going to happen. Yeah, Usain has a real chance of realising his dream there.
Of all the things that he could do, we want to be a professional snooker player.
He must play a lot of snooker in his spare
It
time.
must be something more interesting to do.
Play golf. Is that more interesting?
Yeah,
You're
it's
not a
more
big golfer, though, are
It's
you?
more interesting. So I can see the appeal of golf, though. I'd like to be good at golf. If I ever won the lottery, I'd take up golf and I'd go every day and try and improve.
I tried to take up golf, and then Hannah got pregnant, and all our funds dissipated.
Good word. I don't even know what it means. But good word. I don't even know if it means what you've meant it to mean.
Nah.
Disintegrated is what.
Or disappeared.
They've gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Fundage is low.
Fundage is low.
Yeah. We've got a baby shower next week.
Baby shower. Is that right? Next week? Yeah.
Next weekend. I presume you were talking to Andrew about it.
Yes.
While I
She's
was
very
late.
excited.
You sure?
Yeah.
Not what she said to me.
Right.
Let me tell you who's not excited. Me.
It's going to be great. You're going to have a great time.
Yeah. Looking forward to it.
Yes. All right. Well, let's call it a day. Shall
Always
we?
wanted to go to a baby shower.
Anything else? There was a few questions on team selection. They'll be covered in the preview, I imagine.
Yeah. I have to do the preview, why not?
Yeah.
Sometimes we do it in here, but it's not the right time.
No, we've got to go to work.
Yeah, that's very disappointing. I've got to go to work in 5 minutes, so we'll make the outro quick. Thanks ever so much for watching, and thanks for watching the content last week. The 2 podcasts went down very well. I think we got just over 20k on the 2, so that's very much appreciated.
Yeah,
Good viewage, and thanks to Stu from Soccer AM for coming and doing that with us, because I thought that was very, very informative. Don't know if you watched it, but
Yes,
I
I
thought
did.
it was informative.
Yeah, well worth watching if you haven't seen it, because obviously Stu's a lifelong Brentford fan. He gives a bit of an opinion on Smith so far and what we're inheriting. So worth watching.
Yeah, it was a good watch, even if I do say so myself. If you're not already subscribed to the Villa View with your post notifications on, if you could do that, that would be absolutely fabulous. And if you're watching via YouTube, give this video a like and comment below as well, and we'll try and get back to as many of you as possible, although you've been pretty lax at that recently, I must say. Not many comments, replies from you.
I'm not very good.
If you're watching via iTunes, leave a review. I've noticed a couple of new ones sneaking in, so yeah, if you could do that and give us 5 stars, that would be very much appreciated. Myself and Rollo would be doing a preview for the game at the weekend in the coming days against Swansea, so look out for that. And also fan cams will be back on Saturday as well. I'm running out of breath and I need to go to work. So again, thank you for watching. It's a very early podcast. It never feels right to me doing the early podcast, but hopefully it's turned out all right. Cheers. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.
If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.